Hey, who wants to hear me complain about Nostalgia Critic's The Wall like 2 years too late? Who wants to hear me do that? Okay, so keep in mind that I haven't actually watched Pink Floyd's The Wall yet. Me and my friends together, we decided today we were finally gonna do it. We were finally gonna bite the bullet. We've watched a bootlegged copy I got of Nostalgia Critic's The Wall. And it made me come to a realization about Doug Walker and the Nostalgia Critic as a creator and character. Nostalgia Critic is better the less effort Doug Walker puts into it. Many people online consider the golden age of Nostalgia Critic to be right at the beginning when he was just like showing a movie clip and then he said a funny joke about it. And now that his content has evolved into like doing these like grandiose skits where like he has all he puts on this huge production. He does this huge production. That's when everybody starts thinking he sucks because like his style of review is inherently lazy. This riffing style is lazy. And listen, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of lazy content. You know, you could argue that Angry Video Game Nerd, in the same sense, is very lazy content because it's just him riffing on a bad video game. Here's the thing, though. There's one thing that sets apart James Rolfe's Angry Video Game Nerd and Doug Walker's The Nostalgia Critic. Angry Video Game Nerd James Rolfe has an understanding of filmmaking, and he's not even reviewing movies, but he has a deeper understanding and appreciation for filmmaking than Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, whose whole bit is reviewing movies. So as a result, while James Rolfe also goes on like weird bits and weird crazy things, like the whole thing with Angry Video Game Nerd is that it's supposed to be replicating B movies. James Rolfe's style is very, very much inspired by old B movies that James Rolfe watched when he was a kid. And he loves that stuff. And in that regard, Angry Video Game Nerd is very, like, well done. You know, there are definitely problems with the format, and being a B-movie inspired thing, it's not gonna be very deep, it's not gonna be, like, high analysis or anything, but it doesn't need to be. Doug Walker, on the other hand, considers himself an artiste. Doug Walker considers himself a fine artist. And he just doesn't understand the fundamentals of filmmaking, or even storytelling, really. So as a result, the only content he's really capable of making, and making well, are these very lazy videos where he's just kind of like, hey look, in the movie, Batman has a Bat credit card. That's pretty stupid. I hate that. It sucks. And that's where he was considered to be at his peak. Not these hour-long movies he was making with the Channel Awesome crew, which, by the way, as you may all know, all left in 2018. It's not this 40-minute epic that he made in collaboration with a guy from Slipknot, Rob Scallon, some, like, furry animator who I've never heard of before in my life. The peak of Doug Walker's content to many people is considered his early work where it's just him making a dumb joke at a movie, and then he shows another clip from that movie and makes a dumb joke about that. And yes, a guy from Slipknot and his son were in Nostalgia Critic's The Wall. They didn't really do anything, but good news, the guy from Slipknot does a cover of SpongeBob SquarePants' theme song at the end of the video. Also, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense because it's like, like, if I'm gonna talk about the music, like, I'll give Doug Walker one thing, he has more range than Ray William Johnson. But if I'm comparing your music to Ray William Johnson, and I'm just saying you're probably better than that, that's not saying anything. That's like saying, yeah, this dog turd that has more flies on it is better than the other one. It's so bad. And it's like, the whole review is so divorced from what Pink Floyd The Wall is trying to, like, communicate. Like, Doug Walker has a very fundamental understanding of the movie. It's like, oh, school sucks. And that's the message, Doug Walker takes away from it. It's not like, The Wall is not just about, like, oh, school sucks. It's very much about how broken the education system is, and how that broken system festers and creates so much evil in this world. These dictatorships are created by this broken education system. And also, like, Roger Waters, he grew up in 50s Britain, where corporal punishment in school was still common. But from Doug Walker's perspective, it's just a whiny guy talking like, oh, school sucks. And that's the only message he took away from it. And he rides that message for 40 minutes. By the way, Pink Floyd's The Wall very much uses World War II imagery to talk about how broken the school system is, and how miseducated a lot of these fascists are because of this broken system. And Doug Walker does a song about, oh, isn't it insensitive to do World War II imagery? Which, by the way, Doug Walker does during his song about cancel culture on Twitter or whatever. He does, like, fucking Nazi imagery. Like, red and black flag, bald skinhead. He does this after complaining that Pink Floyd's The Wall uses World War II imagery. He just uses it for that. Like, that's not the get you think it is, Doug Walker. It's not. It's absolutely one of the worst analyses of media I've ever seen in my life. It has such a fundamentally simple understanding of a piece of art that is meant to be very provocative. It's supposed to make you think, not just on, like, a surface level of, oh, school kinda sucks. It's a very deep movie, and you don't have to like it. Once again, like, you don't have to, like, I should clarify, you don't have to like The Wall. Maybe you see this imagery and you think it's, like, out of place, or you think it's misguided. You are allowed to think that. But you have to understand that the movie's message is not as simple as, oh, school kind of sucks. Because if that's where your critique lies, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of the movie. And this is coming from someone who's only seen a video essay about The Wall. Doug Walker is one of the most incompetent men on the entire internet, and I can't believe he gained the following he did when he's, like, he has such a basic understanding of anything. And you know what? Like, his style works when he's talking about dopey little shitty kids movies that are like, oh yeah, obviously the Smurf sucks. Why don't you listen to me talk about how the Smurf sucks? But, like, when he's talking about something that's, like, super deep and has a lot of, like, subtext and, like, deeper meaning, that style doesn't work. And, like, this thesis statement of his review is that it's a good movie, a little full of itself, but he liked it. That does not come across in literally any of his songs about how pretentious and up its own ass the movie is. And how, and, like, he has a very muddled understanding, like, oh my god. He contradicts himself so much. There's, like, a part where he talks about, like, oh, the movie has no subtlety. And then he's like, oh, but the movie's too vague. And then there's another part where he talks about, like, oh, but the imagery is really great. And then he gets a furry animator, who, once again, I've never heard of in my life, to talk about, actually, that imagery isn't very good. And also, he advocates for the movie being shortened, while that same furry animator talks about how it should be longer and talk about the monsters. We should learn about the monsters of Pink Floyd's The Wall. And literally, everything that's been said in chat by Sebastian and everyone else, like, 100%, it is the worst analysis of media I have ever seen in my life. And as someone who very much values analysis of media, you know, I like to be a little bit of a critic sometimes. I like to look into the deeper meanings of things, because everything in the world has some sort of deeper meaning. Even if it's a very simple movie, there's some kind of motivation because of it. It doesn't have to be a motivation of, oh, I want to make this artistic piece about how broken the education system. Sometimes it is, I want to make a movie that'll sell tickets to children. And, like, that's still some kind of meaning to a movie. It's not a deep meaning, but that could be the message behind it. So, like, it's so bad. It's so bad. And that was my 10-minute rant about Nostalgia Critics The Wall, and how, yes, you've heard the stories. It is, in fact, probably one of the worst things ever uploaded to YouTube. And there's been a lot of bad things uploaded to YouTube. Nostalgia Critics The Wall is, like, probably one of the worst things I've ever watched in my life. Yeah, let's play Wheatley's game. Honestly, Wheatley would probably have a better understanding of film than Doug Walker. I cannot believe that Doug Walker, considers himself a film critic, when, like, a dude who doesn't even do film critique has a deeper understanding of fucking filmmaking. It's so baffling. But anyways, let's play some Portal 2. Tonight, we're gonna have a fun time with Wheatley. We're gonna have a fun time killing Wheatley. He's evil now. By the way, Wheatley's evil now. If they put Doug Walker and Wheatley, like, Wheatley would be like, a bad credit card!